Hi everyone, it's Alan Shimel of DevOps.com and DevOps TV, and we're here at IBM Think 2018. Happy to be joined by a presenter here at Think 2018. And if I mispronounce it, I apologize. Keld Nielsen.
It's perfect.
Really? Maybe I could get to Denmark after all.
Maybe you can.
Keld is the manager of ITOps at Danske Bank. Correct? Is that right?
Well, the technology part of it.
Okay, now I gave you a promotion. It's
Yeah.
okay. No raise, but a little more responsibility. And you presented here at IBM Think on analytics tools in measuring automation or in helping to facilitate greater automation in IT operations.
Yes,
Fair
that's
enough?
correct. That's fair. Yes.
Okay, so that's a very high level.
Mm.
Bring it home for me to your experience at the bank. What have you guys done at the bank to automate IT operations or to help automate?
Yeah, so we're in the process of automating it, and you could say the agenda for that is getting to the last mile. You could say to ideally perfect availability, constant availability, complete availability.
Yeah.
Because we have solved a lot of the easy issues. You can do that with processes, you can do that with skilled people, right? But taking it the last step, this is where you need to look beyond what you know and has worked for the last 20 years. And so this is the situation we're facing because customers are moving into that sort of expectation. So this is you could say actually where we look towards analytics and automation.
Sure. So Keld, I'm always and this is obviously with DevOps is a lot about automation, and I am always perplexed because you're right. The easy stuff, look, it's easy, right? We can do the easy stuff, but as we go further down that automation, I really feel like you start reaching a case of diminishing returns, where the cost of automating that next piece perhaps outweighs the benefit of the automation there. And I think that is something, I had this conversation earlier where we shouldn't do things just because we can. We should do things because they make sense for the business. And just because we can automate, we need to be smart about what we do automate. QA and testing has the same issue too. We talk about, automated testing. It's great, but you can't automate everything, right? You cannot automate totally testing. You can't totally automate ops. Where do you draw that line?
So, yeah, automation is really just a step in a journey. I mean, it's not unproblematic to talk about automation. So the first thing you want to do when you look towards automation is to realize that it's really just one step. It's really like symptom removal, right? At ITOps, that would be symptom removal because it's usually coming in that something has to be done. We have to take action on something, and the automation is then taking the action. But that problem that originally gave cause and was the reason for the automation. This is really where you want to get at, right?
Right.
So that's the first thing you have to realize here, that you have to evaluate whether you want to go to the source and solve this issue, or whether you want to automate the response to it.
Yep.
So that's something you have to evaluate. Again, back to the cost part of it. And then the second, the thing where we've done a lot of work now is before you automate, you need to clean. I mean, you need to really critically evaluate, because some of the big chunks of automation are really on alert groups that shouldn't be automated. They should just be ignored.
Yeah.
I mean, so you have to keep that value focus in perspective all the time. But then you add, it's not just a cost thing. This is also having the same response in the same way, fast, that automation can do for you in ITOps, right?
Yeah.
So when we look towards these, both automation and we look towards analytics, it's really not a cost thing. it is really because getting that last from 99.9% availability
To
to
five
100.
nights,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, there is a diminishing return, and also the amount of effort to do that last step.
It's Herculean. I
Yeah.
mean, it
So
really
we just pull in everything that we can see that can bring us
that
value.
makes sense. And I think, when we talk about analytics with that, that's an important piece of the analytics puzzle, right? Is that AI is a big thing out here this year, obviously, right? And it's good to have AI. AI is an amazing thing. It's only going to get much better. But right now, we still need humans to
Yeah.
look at the analytics and make a decision about, is the risk worth the reward? Is the cost worth the benefit, right? And we could use tools that help us do that. But I don't think we're at the point yet where we're going to have some AI make that decision for us, right? The tools help us make the decision, but that's a human decision, I think. And that's important, right? I think, when we talk about people, I was talking earlier with someone, everyone wants to succeed. Everyone takes pride. The gentleman you were watching, I was
Yeah.
interviewing before. Everyone takes pride in what they build and what they do, what they give,
Yeah.
right? And that idea of being able to be somewhat in control or make that decision is so important, because when we talk about a world, like for my children, I don't know if you have children, but children, we talk about the next generation and what automation is going to bring to them in terms of what jobs they're going to have.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that humans need that feeling of I built something, or I did something, I contributed.
Yes.
Right? You can't just be a machine that's looking at some AI making decisions all the time. So I don't know if we ever get to that nirvana of
No.
automation.
It's definitely not something we're looking towards now. I'd say it highlights different things, right? And automation essentially takes away the boring
Yes.
parts of it. So that's a good thing, also from a human perspective. But of course, it also takes away work. So that's a problematic thing from certain humans' perspective.
Yeah, it is, and it's something we're going to have to deal with as a society, as a species, or what have you. Kind of be like Star Trek, right? Where we don't have to worry about money, and we can all do things that we find exciting, and that would be a great world. But we're not quite there yet, right?
No, we're not there at all. And I'd say in the small space that I'm working in, where I am sort of focusing right now. The challenge is more the challenge. There is a challenge here, right? Because there's a different kind of worker you have to talk to. There's a different kind of role here, and it's much more advanced. In that sense, I would say, from a human perspective, the things that make us stand out from the chairs and the plants.
No, it's much more fulfilling.
It's our brains, right? And so it's much more,
It's
realizing your
fulfilling
potential as a
mentally.
human.
Yeah, sure.
But it's not easy. It's not easy because everyone has a perspective, sort of an image of who they are.
Not only, there's another thing at play here, and I've seen this, especially in DevOps. We see it a lot. It was really big when I first started DevOps.com. The QA folks had this in a bad way. They had a bad case of it. No one likes change. Everyone's afraid somehow their role will become obsolete, or that what they do is be no longer valuable. And no one, as much as we talk about embracing change, few people truly embrace change, especially in their work. And so sometimes it takes them to actually see the other side, right? See it through to say, hey, this isn't so bad. I don't have to do the boring, repetitive task anymore. I can concentrate on higher things that are more challenging.
Yeah.
And then they're happy. But getting them there can be a struggle, right? And I think, that's probably a little bit of what you may run into at the bank a bit when we talk about automation and dealing with the human element of it.
You're running into it when you deal with humans, right? But actually bringing it back, I run into it myself, right?
Oh yeah.
I as a person suddenly have to. I catch myself going back to my comfort zone, right? This is what I know. This is what we
all
have.
do.
And if people tell me it's not possible, then I say, okay, it's not possible. But then you go back and say, all right,
I can do it.
the change has to start somewhere, right?
And then let it start with me.
You have to be the ambassador of it, right? But even with yourself, I can feel the resistance in my body. That's how biology works.
I think it's we're wired that way. It's human. It's part of human nature, and it'll be something I think that we'll see over and over as we see more and more IT and ops and stuff. More automation coming to this. As I said, we saw it with the QA folks. We're seeing it with ops. We're seeing it with security. There will come a day when machines write software and people don't write software. And then what are we going to do, right? We're automating software development. So it's just the nature of the beast, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
It is.
Anyway, let me ask one last question. I'll let you go. Is the first thing, but what's been kind of the highlight of the event for you so far?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I gave my presentation yesterday evening, right? So I was very focused on that. But I also had a chance to see a few speakers, and I think you're overwhelmed with the amount, with the pace of technology, right, and how things are developing so fast. Some of the things are moving in the right direction, and that's great. But there's so much of it. I mean, the opportunity, even selecting among these things, is just massive.
I found it a little overwhelming too. I mean, I'm drawn to like the quantum computing, for instance, right?
Yeah.
It's scary. It's so cool, right? But I say to myself, how much time do I want to invest learning more about that versus cloud private or automating, ops and so forth. So there's a lot out there. It's a big show.
And I'd say, I mean, I'm not a technical guy, even though I'm in front of a technical. I sort of pride myself of not being a technical guy, because you get lost in all that technology. And one of the things that I attended a keynote yesterday, and I thought that was really refreshing, right? Is that it's not just they were using soft terms like what was it, behavior, experiences, and these things, right? Because there's so much of it that it has to fit into a framework of how an organization works, how the processes works, and how people experience it.
Sure.
And that aspect is sometimes forgotten because there's so much hype about technology.
Yeah. Well,
but I saw the presentation yesterday was. I mean, it's good that we have a keynote on these things.
It absolutely is, and it's the future of humanity. Because at the end of the day, especially in DevOps, one of the prime things was, look, it's not just the tools, it's the culture, it's the people, and that extends to everything we see here too. Can't lose sight. It's the people as well. Yeah. Good.
All right,
thank you for being our guest. This is Alan Shimel for DevOps.com, DevOps TV. We're here at IBM Think 2018 in Las Vegas. And have a great day, everyone.